Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Downside. My co-host is... Here's how I... Listen, I don't really know what my co-host does for work.
Here's how we need more Patreon supporters. Because I am on business call right now. I'm on a business call. I'm doing work while I'm on a podcast.
If you're ever on a Zoom and someone's video isn't on, you should assume they are recording a podcast simultaneously. So Russell has open in front of him, frankly, a famous guest. A great guest.
Yeah, I know. It's a great guest.
Great guest. And your laptop is open with 20 people.
Only for 18 more minutes. And then we're done.
And why? For who? What's the point?
I am hosting a meeting. I had to do an update at the very beginning of it. And then I was done, but I'm still hosting the meeting. I'm still the thing. So I can't close my laptop and lock it out. I am wildly paranoid that they're hearing all of this. And that I would hope that's why I like seeing it, because like
this would be the most listeners we've ever had for the podcast.
They would be like waving, being like, we can hear you. You know?
So you're worried, though, you have to stop it right on time or else they're going to go, oh, we all left and Russell's still here?
I don't know. I guess I could put it down on the ground, but there's something a deep fear of like it going off mute or something somehow automatically.
So you're just going to keep it here for the next 18 minutes.
Just 18 more minutes.
What I think is funny, you think that it won't like affect your performance. You're like, I can multitask. Meanwhile, I'm going to be talking and you'll be like, it's muted. Oh, it's muted. Okay, good.
I'm fully here. I'm present. I'm checked in, locked in. I've here attention.
Well, good.
20 people.
Well. Thank you for being here to our guest. Thank you for dealing with this. Please welcome. Do you like the word content creator or do you hate it?
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
Don't like don't like the word content. It's
just not the only thing I do.
Of course.
Yeah.
What's your number one? Do you like to lead with?
My number one. The problem is, I mean, the thing I make money with is I'm a YouTuber, but it's not the thing I like the most.
Yeah.
Yeah. I once had a billboard for outside of a club, and it had my face, my name, and it said. Like my credits, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Oh. And I was like, I have the same credits as everyone in the audience. That's and they bought tickets to see me? That's absurd.
Yeah.
So, YouTuber.
I would say I'm a YouTuber, I'm a writer, I'm a comedian.
Yeah.
I'm
Kristin Chirico, everybody. Welcome to The Downside.
Welcome.
Thank you.
It's funny that YouTuber, writer sounds so much better than YouTuber.
Yeah.
Like just there's a connotation, you know?
Yeah, because you're a YouTuber too. You have a YouTube account.
Don't call me.
What's wrong with being a YouTuber?
No, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying people hear it and there is a weird thing with it.
I know.
And there is nothing wrong with it. And people make a lot of money on YouTube. So it's just a funny thing in our heads that there's like we've got to figure out how we can take it more seriously. Do you know what I mean?
We got to figure this out.
Yeah.
Number
it
one
starts with you and me, guys.
Human agenda, figuring out how to make YouTubers get respect. It's just a wide umbrella.
Yeah.
I mean, and the problem is, how do you say? It should say successful YouTuber.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, because that's the differentiation.
Professional.
That silver thing behind you probably sleep on those. That silver YouTube, 100,000 subscribers. You probably have gold-plated ones.
No, I don't have a gold-plated one because you don't get a gold one till you get 1 million, and I've never done that as an individual.
I thought there was a 500,000 one.
There is not a 500,000.
And I hit 500,000. I said, "Where's my fucking plaque?
No,
I gotta hit 1 million.
You gotta make your own for that one.
Ooh,
no, they don't give you one. Yeah, it's hard being a YouTuber because it is a big umbrella. Because you could either be like someone who makes things that help people, or you could be like a white supremacist.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a really broad brush to paint with.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. Very happy to have you. You're visiting New York. Before we get to you, I have something I want to talk about. I had a thing happen, situation. We can discuss how I should have handled it because it was a first time for me.
Okay.
I was in Philly. Mm-hmm. I headlined the weekend, Philly Punchline, good shows. And when I got in my Uber, so I'm leaving the hotel, I get in my Uber, and before they leave, someone opens the other door, the passenger seat, and just gets in and says, please take me to the train station. Please take me to the train. Yeah. And like not the same train station. Or they said, take me to the bus stop. And I was going to the train station. And the driver, I'm not sure if I got fleeced, which is where we'll go. So I'm there and I don't know what's going on. This is a person who seems that they're struggling. I don't know if they're unhoused or not. But but I don't know what to do. And the driver like looks to me and goes like, do you want to cancel the drive? And I was like, no, I got to make it to the train.
Yeah.
But the driver acts like I know this person. And I'm like, no, don't cancel. I don't know who this person is. And she won't leave. And he's kind of asking her, but he's saying, do you want to cancel? And I was like, no, I don't want to cancel. I have to go. And I ultimately gave her $10. And then she said, thanks. And then she went into the hotel. And that's where I'm suspicious. And I'm like, the driver seemed to be acting unusual. He kept saying, do you want to cancel? Do you want to cancel? I'll cancel it. And I was like, no. And I'm just wondering if they were working in tandem. Because and it's more this.
Wait.
If she got the $10 and then like tried to get a cab or started walking away, I'd be like, okay, she need to go to the bus station.
So your theory,
she got
though,
that $10 and she like turned on a dime, like everything's fine, and then she went to the hotel.
But your theory is though, but like, what if you had said fine and taken her to the bus stop? Is it that much further away that he gets money in Uber? Like that much more money?
Yeah, how could I ask I can't ask the Uber driver, can you take to the bus stop?
Yeah, you can put two stops in Uber.
Sure, I just had to make the train. You're saying add a second stop?
Add a second stop for her to go to this bus stop.
Sure, it happened very fast.
This doesn't seem like to get $10 out of you. Like I don't.
It feels like a
$5
lot
a
of
person.
work. It feels like
a lot of work
It
for them.
worked.
Yeah,
It worked.
I know, but I don't know if it feels like a real. I don't think that many people would give her $10, and I think that
What would you have done?
I don't know. You're right. It's a very specific situation. I don't know. I think I probably would have added a second stop. I just would have been like, take me to the thing first, and I'll add a second stop.
Yeah,
Let me ask this: how much? Let's say that second stop was $20 more.
I think I would just do it.
It's $20.
$50 more.
Stop saying that's not. Wouldn't be that much.
I'm trying
more.
to figure out where your morality caps out.
It wouldn't be that much more. That's got to be a
Like,
real.
you're not going to the airport.
Let me just say, I think that is a good solution. I think in the moment I was just like I was confused. The driver kept telling me, "Do you want to cancel?" And I was like, "If you cancel, I think I'm going to miss my train."
Do you think you're an easy mark? Like, do you think people scam you a lot?
Okay. I have some sympathy. 2 times I've been like, or 3 times I've been marked for sure. Okay. One, when I was a kid, it was like outside of a Broadway theater. I was in New York, maybe for a summer camp or something. And someone was like raising money for a basketball team. And they said, and I had a $100 bill. My dad like would give me $100. And I said, oh, could I have 95 back or something? I never saw
Oh my god!
So I like lost $100. Oh my god! I just gave it to him, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll be right with you." And then I had that feeling of like, "Oh, I'm not getting this back."
Yeah.
Same thing happened to me at when I was in Hamburg. We've talked about this on the show. I was too nervous to go to a sex worker. I went to these people who were going to give me a lesbian show, and then proceeded to. I walked in. They said, "Okay, so there's the little lesbian show, the medium lesbian show, and the big lesbian." And they kept getting more and more money out of me.
Yeah.
And I saw one nipple.
Yeah.
That was definitely a mark for that. And then once in New York, someone came up and they said, "Can I have directions?" I gave them directions. Then they started crying and they said, "Can I have money?" And I gave them 20. And I think I was a mark. It's hard to tell in New York.
I've done it in New York. I've done it in New York. It happens a lot, and you can think you're going to not get tricked, and then ultimately someone gets you and your defenses are down. And you're like, okay, well, sure. Like the classic one is like when you're checking out at like a food place, and then they're all of a sudden there, and that's a hard one to say no to because they know you're going to buy food, and so you're like, ultimately, I usually just say, yeah, sure, I'll get you something.
Yeah.
I did get scammed in New York when I first moved to New York about an apartment. I signed up for some very skeevy service that said they would find me an apartment, and all I had to do was pay $100 and sign some paperwork, and they were gonna like assist. So here's where the red flag should have happened. I went to do this in person, and I buzzed in. It was in Times Square, and I buzzed into like a really seedy like stairwell. Went up to the room. There was multiple buzzers, multiple doors that you had to buzz into to get into it. So it was like they were like trying to hide in there and keep people out. The guy had a baseball bat.
Oh my god!
He answered the door with a baseball bat.
He loves sports.
I was also.
Bro, you run your own security too.
I was new to New York, and I was like, maybe this is just how people answer the door here. I don't know. I don't know.
Every New Yorker.
I don't know how dangerous or safe it is yet. I don't know. I'm figuring it out. So he answers the door with a baseball bat. There was an intensity to this man. I signed.
Really?
I don't know what paperwork. Gave him $100, and then what that got me was basically once a week for 3 weeks. They would send me listings from Craigslist, like to do my own work. It was not like any sort of thing. It was like, here's some listings, and it got me nothing. And then you were like, there's no way you can go and get your money back. That guy's gonna hit you with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
You know? So that I don't know what that service was, but I got scammed for sure.
Okay.
My wife almost signed a lease on an apartment in LA that it was a room, and the room turned out to be the landing of a staircase.
Oh no!
They put curtains around.
Oh my god!
It was $500 a month.
Well, whose staircase though? Like where? Like
they were just like, yeah, like it's a great room, great location, Silver Lake apartment room, and like she went to see it, and they were just like, yeah, like we make it work, you know. It's like we have like a knocking system before people come up the staircase.
Oh my
knocking
god!
system.
How big of a landing?
No, like
this,
like this couch plus another couch, like these two couches pushed together, maybe, like nonsense, like fire problem.
A knocking. There's not even a door to knock.
Yeah.
It's got to be like a padding onto the curtain
knock
system. So at least she saw it and said, "Oh no."
Yeah, I mean, she saw it and she's like, "I don't think this is the place for me." You know, it was like she was young, but she wasn't like that young.
When I was early on struggling, I mean, there's no worse feeling than not having a place to stay.
Yeah.
Figured like it's a very awful feeling.
Yeah.
There was one time I looked and it was like you can stay in the closet and it's only $200, and it was like
A month?
a big closet. Yeah, $200 a month.
That's pretty good.
Which that's the thing where you're like, could
you lay flat in the closet?
Yes, I could lay flat in the closet.
Okay,
but it's.
Are we blowing up? What's happening?
What do you think? Someone's doing construction outside.
Oh my god!
You think, listen, when you blow up, you're gone. There's no moment of like, oh, is a blow up coming soon? Let me escape it.
I don't know.
Then no one would be
Maybe
blown up.
Canada's blowing up, and we're slowly feeling it. I don't know. Anyways, go ahead.
So
you didn't do it.
No, but it's less even the size. I mean, there was a time in my life I would put up with size small. It's more about you have to go through a bedroom to go to. Yeah. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's ridiculous.
That was.
Well, that's like I had an apartment in Astoria that was a good one, but it was a railroad. And so there were two ways. So the second bedroom could go out into the hallway to then go to the living room and kitchen, like the shared hallway, like the apartment building hallway. But if I wasn't home or the thing, they could just go through my room because it's a railroad. But it's not ideal because I also like sometimes I wouldn't be home. I was dating Nicole at the time. So I'd go for a few days and come back and they didn't know if I was there. You know what I mean? Like, so not a great situation to build an apartment that way.
They were walking on you?
Yeah, one time.
And when I say you, solo.
Nicole. No.
Oh, with Nicole.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, one time.
They just opened it up.
And I hadn't been home for days, so they just assumed and they just like came in.
And you were
No, they didn't see anything. There was covers involved, but
is there usually a lot covered? A lot of just 10 covers wrapped around. That's funny. Like someone who's been in New York for so long. Every time they make love, they have to do it under every
like
cover.
So many covers.
It's just someone might walk in. It's like we've moved to South Dakota now. It's fine.
Any moment, yeah. So.
Oh God, are you an easy mark otherwise?
Am I an easy mark?
Yeah, for like people ask for money. Like, do you?
I don't know if I'm a mark. Like, it's not like when someone asks me for money, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm really all in on this story you're telling me. It's like if someone asks me for money, they need money.
Sure.
And I'm just going to give, within reason, I'm probably going to give them the money.
I don't disagree until you live in New York and you walk home when I walk home from the Comedy Cellar in the summer, there's 10 people who need money. And it becomes that's all I made tonight at the Cellar.
I got to tell you, a really, really sad thing happened the other day where I said, because usually what I do, I never have cash, but I do have cash right now, but I never have cash. And I usually always say, I don't have cash. I mean, it's not a lie. It's just like, I don't carry cash. But the other day I said my lie or my normal line, and I did have cash because I have cash. And I was on my phone, and I said, "I'm so sorry, I don't have cash." He saw it, and he goes, "I see cash right there." And I said, I looked at him and I said, "It's a 50." And he understood that was too much. that giving 50, that's a big give.
It would be really nice is the word you're looking for. It'd be really active generosity is the word you're looking for.
It would, but also I both loved and was mad that he called me on it. I loved that he was like, "I see it right there," and I was like, "Fair enough." And then I was like, "I'm gonna be honest with him too," and I'm like, "It's a 50," and he was like, "Oh, it's a 50." He got that that's a lot, because also if 10 or under, yeah, I'm gonna I'll give that away.
Sure.
But also, I think it is hard now that I don't carry cash. That when I have cash, I feel like I never have cash. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't carry cash.
Yeah.
Like I'm just gonna lose it. I'm gonna drop it in the street.
Yeah.
And then it's someone else's good day.
I get cash
Paying
just because they pay me
paying
in
50
cash.
with a card feels less of a thing than giving $50 bill away.
Yeah, that's
Sure. I think more and more people have Venmo these days, or Cash App, or like they're getting rid of that excuse.
Yeah.
Well, I give money for music. If there's a musical person,
Yes.
if I watch like more than 16 measures of a song,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, here's $1.
yeah.
Yeah.
In LA, I know there's homeless people in LA, but like, are they asking for money as often as New York? I feel like it's different culture.
So I live about a block and a half away from Skid Row. So
Ever.
And when you say Skid Row, because I know Little Shop of Horrors, that was a musical I did.
Down on
But like,
Skid
I know, yes,
But
Row.
is that the Skid Row they're referring to, or is Skid Row a term that means
Skid Row next to downtown LA?
Skid Row is in downtown LA.
Okay,
It's a part of
it's on a street sign that says Skid Row?
No, but it's a long.
No, like if you look on Google Maps, it will say Skid Row, and like obviously like, there's signage around. And you know it's Skid Row. Like it's clear. Here's the thing. I think because I look like and identify mostly as female, people don't really come up to me that much. I think I that's my guess, but like I don't really. It's not really an issue. Like,
Sure.
for me personally. So like if somebody kind of like works up the courage to actually ask me for something, if I have something, I'm just gonna give it to you.
Yeah.
Sure.
We live in a terrible world, and like
Definitely.
so
I could use $20.
you can.
This is the downside.
1, 2, 3. Downside.
You're listening to The Downside
The Downside.
with Gianmarco Soresi.
There's one guy that is my neighborhood, and he always sits outside the liquor store. So occasionally I'll buy him food, and he's so funny because he's so mean about it. He's not nice. He's a real character, and he'll be like, "I don't like that," and you'll be like, "Well, I'm like," and then like you'll ask him like, "What do you want?" And sometimes they don't have. It's very specific. I don't do it every time, but like he's always there, so it's like but it's just so funny how kind of rude he is about things. He's very blunt.
Do you ever get like how's he been rude to you?
He's been rude to me and to Nicole. Like it's just like in the way of like. He'll be very honest if he doesn't like what you've gotten him, and you'll ask like trying to like do a good job to get him things that he likes, and then he'll be like, "I can't eat that. I don't like that," like that kind of thing, and you're like, "Okay, man. Well, we're
like, what do you offer him that he says?
I don't know.
Maybe you should learn more about what he wants.
I know.
Yeah, maybe you should take some time, take him out, say, what are your allergies?
That's true. Yeah.
What's your favorite flavor?
Yeah.
This is the downside. This is a place where we bring people on to find out how generous they are to unhoused people. We talk. We get negative here. We're honest about ourselves. We don't look for silver linings. We look for shitty corners. And I've been working on this intro for 200 episodes, and this is what I got. If you're a fan of the show, join the Patreon, patreon.com/downside. We got bonus episodes. We got a live episode coming out soon with Emily Wilson that was so good, and bonus everything. It's fantastic. Patreon.com/downside. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
This is our first time meeting.
Yes.
Yes. Whew, Jesus.
Could you imagine? We actually dated 3 years ago.
But we know each other from the internet. You have a fascinating life because you didn't get into entertainment until much later in your life.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I didn't even think of it that way. But yeah, I mean, my 20s, I didn't really start getting famous on BuzzFeed until like my early 30s. I want to say 32, 33.
Well, I'm 35, you're 54. BuzzFeed was less a part of my life. Like it's speaking of YouTubers, my opener is 24. And like he like has YouTube stars, and YouTube was just we talked about this on the Emily Wilson podcast. We didn't have like we just went to YouTube for specific things.
Yeah.
Other people, that was their TV channels.
Yeah.
I was still watching TV and all that stuff. So I know BuzzFeed like from the side. I watched the listicles. I did the quizzes. But when did BuzzFeed start? Do you know?
I want to say 2006?
2006.
2008? One of those two. I don't really remember. It didn't... I joined the club. I joined in 2013. Late 2013 is when I got hired. And like it is weird because like BuzzFeed is a thing. I never experienced BuzzFeed outside of being at BuzzFeed because I was there before it was like a huge, massive thing, and then I left right after it stopped being that. So like I experienced that entire phenomenon from the inside.
Yeah.
And like as I tell people all the time, like I have a job that did not exist when I was in grad school. So like, you know, we're kind of just making it up as we go along.
Yeah. I mean, my BuzzFeed was like cracked.com.
Yeah.
E-Bombs World. That was a big one. Do you know E-Bombs World?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That was our generation.
Yeah.
You were an E-Bombs World guy.
No.
Really?
I mean, I've heard of it. I didn't really use it though.
What was your website for like?
I don't
fucked
know.
up videos?
I don't know. I don't feel like I had like that was a thing in my like. I didn't really do that.
Where did you see Mr. Hands?
Mr. Hands. Which one's that?
That's the horse one.
No.
Oh. But that was an E-Bombs World thing.
It was okay,
E-Bombs
I
World
was
like
saying,
housed like.
Can I say
like
I was
it was like comedy and like weird anime jokes and video game jokes and then like kind of snuffed types.
I think that I was never the one that was like I was usually a friend showing me those things.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't like regularly seeking that out.
When were you in college?
2005 to 2008.
Okay, so I think you went to college a little late for E-Bombs World because I think E-Bombs World was really popular when I was in college, which is like right before that.
Yeah.
So it's possible that like because I think YouTube started in 2005, 2006.
Yeah. I mean, I remember YouTube in college.
Yeah.
Sure.
But it was like oh look, this like someone send you a specific video or you know.
Yeah.
I wasn't surfing YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that Google Images blew up after the Janet Jackson Justin Timberlake Super Bowl Nipplegate?
I hate everything.
Yeah, but like it's because everyone was like, "Wait, where?" And it was like, "Whoa, we needed a website for this."
So some guys in some vests were like, "I want to make that easier for all the weirdos."
What year was that?
Oh boy,
2004.
All I remember is I was at my dad's girlfriend's house, and I called my mom after because we talk about nipples a lot. And I called her because I'd seen it. It was so quick. And I just remember I was like, did I just see that? Like there was a feeling of, did I just see what I think I saw? Mm-hmm. And I called my mom and I was like, did you see? It's like, yeah, I think I saw.
Can I tell you a joke I made? I was at a party of adults watching the Super Bowl. A joke I made that absolutely killed at this party was, I must have been a senior in high school. One of my parents' friends kept talking about how there's a special guest other than Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson. He kept being like, I think there's another special guest. And after that happened at the end, I go, well, I guess we know who the special guest was. Everyone, biggest laugh I've ever gotten in my life.
Do you do it at that big a character? Well, I guess I know the special.
I was really prepared to not like that joke. I
actually-
was mentally preparing to be
I
mad.
actually had a microphone. I like pulled it out from the sofa and was just like,
yeah, it was poor Janet.
poor Janet. Yeah.
Poor Janet.
Yeah, no. I mean, Justin Timberlake sucks. Like he did her
think
dirty.
He's pretty. I think it's a done deal. Right.
What,
Everyone's
his
kind of
career?
over him, aren't they?
He's still
He doesn't
Justin
really
Timberlake.
sing anymore. He doesn't really perform anymore.
All I know is like NSYNC. There are rumors that NSYNC is gonna still announce a tour. They did Hot Ones together.
I mean, I think that there are enough people in NSYNC where they can sort of like blunt the problems of like. There's 4 other guys.
Sure.
So unless one of those 4 guys also does something terrible to an iconic singer, like I think it'll be probably fine.
I think
like,
Backstreet's got more baggage.
Is Lance
Oh, they
Bass
all have
Backstreet
baggage.
or
NSYNC.
NSYNC?
What the fuck is wrong with you? Is Lance Bass Backstreet?
I
think what would be fun, given that Lance Bass came out of the closet after being in the group, that he had to sing all these songs all the time about women and I love you and like, ooh girl, you're hot. That now NSYNC should incorporate more gay songs that they all have to sing too.
Yeah.
Like I think they all 5 should do a whole album that's just like being attracted to other men. And I think in exchange, the 4 straight members should have to sing gay love songs for just a couple years.
I think that's only fair.
Only fair.
I'm sure they would love to. I mean, financially, it would probably.
Justin would be like, "Will this fix everything?"
Yeah.
Because then, yeah, I'm down.
Yeah.
I'll pull a cup off someone, have their dick go out of the Super Bowl.
That's
then
the
you'd be
way
like,
to
"Wait."
fix it. He has to pull a dick out at the Super Bowl.
He has to pull his own dick.
Yeah,
out.
he has to pull his own dick out.
out.
Yeah.
It has to be pierced.
Yeah.
Is that is the question though?
That is really funny. As a country, we will forgive you of all your sins, Justin Timberlake, if you pull your dick
I'm
out.
gonna have you, Nick, by the end of this.
It's very generous.
It's a big-
It's a very generous Justin Timberlake dick.
And the Super Bowl goes, fool us once, shame on you. Fool us twice.
Oh.
Wow, we solved it. We did it all. Okay, there's no way they can pick it up on the microphone. There is a strange.
There's
there
being a
seems
wall
to be
torn
sawing
down.
sounds, kind of going in a circle around us, as if someone sawing in a circle.
sawing-
Fucking
floor.
Wile E. Coyote cartoon. We're gonna fucking end up in the street.
There's this incredible. Have you seen about this thing with the Kabad tunnels in Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's some guy on Twitter, and he years ago he was like, I swear I hear Jews underneath the floor, and I'm on the
Yes.
ground level. And of course, everyone said, you're an anti-Semite.
Oh my God,
and then
funny.
he says, you motherfuckers, I knew it. There were Jews underneath
knew
me
I
the
heard
whole
Jews
time.
underneath.
He said, I heard Yiddish. And people are probably like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
And turns out he was right.
He was right. It's a Twilight Zone episode come to life.
That is a tough one. Can you imagine? If you said that to me, I'd be like, Russell, stop. You got to stop telling people that. Every
I don't
podcast
think I would
episode.
tell anyone. I
You
think
should kick him off the podcast.
I think I would move and just pretend it wasn't ever happening. I never heard it.
So you joined BuzzFeed. How did you fall into that job?
I had a friend who worked there. Okay, so this is actually a weird story. I was interviewing for. So do you remember Gawker tried to reboot Defamer in like the early 2010s?
I know Gawker, but what was Defamer?
Defamer was like their Hollywood blog.
Okay.
And it they had it and it died and they tried to reboot it. And I was at like my shitty job. And I think they were like, we're taking open submissions for this job. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to write something shitty and snarky. And like I shot it off. And then like 20 minutes later, they were like, hey, do you want to come? I want to say to like the Tropicana pool bar and like meet with us to talk to us about this. And then I told my friend who worked at BuzzFeed that I was interviewing for this job. And she said, no, don't go work for Gawker. Come work for us. And so I kind of used that interview to get another interview. And then
were you in the blogs? Like, were you writing blogs?
no,
Were you
I
a
was
writer?
I was an assistant in the Valley. I was like 29 years old, and my life was like nowhere and nothing. Like it was terrible.
I used to be. I was never a Gawker guy, but I did on the daily check TMZ and Perez Hilton. I gotta admit.
Oh my God! Why would you ever tell us that?
You could have gone to your
doing it.
yeah, but you don't have to tell anyone.
Yeah, Perez. Oh,
There's a classic where like Ellen DeGeneres had Perez on her show to be like, "You're mean, right?
yeah,
And you're gonna stop being mean." And Perez was like, "Yeah, you're right."
yeah.
And then later, I know Perez was so excited.
Oh, those TMZ people. I hate when you're in like a hotel and you're like flipping around and for whatever reason TMZ. You know, you don't see it.
Yeah,
usually.
yeah.
And then you see that channel when they're sitting in that room and they're just like making jokes, but it's like the worst kind of things you've ever heard.
And they just like sometimes they try to be really sincere, and then other times they're like, so Kanye West having a mental breakdown. Let's bring him in the studio and talk to him for an hour and just air it unedited. And then that owner is like, he's like 70, but he like looks, he's like super tan, and he still is like he's doing it all. Frankly, he looks good for his age.
Yeah, he's being held together with like spit and tape and like thousands of dollars, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
TMZ is crazy because like TMZ is everywhere in LA. Like they have their hands in every pocket. It's like it is like they have a more complex spy network than I think the ones that we use our tax dollars for, if I had to guess.
I saw it was just like recently, it was like Timothy Chalamet, where they just approach as if they're like, hey Timothy, anything about the rumor at the Golden Globes that you wouldn't take the picture with so-and-so? Don't pretend like you don't know every part of this. Selena Gomez whispered to Taylor Swift that Timothy wouldn't take that who's Timothy dating?
Kylie Jenner.
Whatever. But it's just like when Alec Baldwin like punches a paparazzi guy, part of me is like, I do get it. I do get it. These people are just harassing you nonstop.
Yeah.
There was some movie made called like Paparazzo, and it was like a celebrity's wife died because the paparazzi, like kind of Princess Diana style, and then he was going to kill all the paparazzi.
Oh my God.
It felt very much like a movie like that a bunch of Hollywood people were like, this is
relatable.
we
love this movie.
This is relatable to everyone in middle America. Don't you want to just kill paparazzi?
Starring Liam Neeson. Yeah.
That kind of movie.
Yeah.
So they're around LA a lot, like you see them.
No, I think just anecdotally, you know that like they just have eyes and ears everywhere. I don't know. They're just like a very complex network, or at least, they were for a long time. I haven't checked in on TMZ lately, so like this is not like on the pulse about TMZ. But I think like it's kind of it's known that like they're very committed to their craft of knowing too much about people.
That's how we know we make it when we leave this podcast studio and someone is out there. It's got to be embarrassing in the beginning. It's just one guy's like, hey, any upcoming downside guests that are exciting? And you're like, let's.
And you're too eager. You're like, oh no.
Hi, hello.
Hey.
So you joined BuzzFeed, and was it on this roll? Was it on this like explosion thing yet?
Kinda. I mean, I think people knew about it, but it wasn't like BuzzFeed was still very focused on having a house style. They were very focused on like the voice is the voice of BuzzFeed. It's not the voice of Kristin or the voice of someone else.
Yeah.
And then what happened was they started making videos, and people started getting attached to the people in videos, and then the whole like house style thing kind of got like thrown out the window.
Sure.
But that started about when I joined. I would 2014 is kind of when it really started cooking with gas, and then like by 2015 it was like full-fledged.
Did you feel like the offices got upgraded? There were better snacks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was like working at BuzzFeed in the 2010, it was like every behind the music documentary, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like everything was great, kind of, until it wasn't. Like, it was like our offices got bigger, and like people were getting hired all the time, and like they would bring in like, I don't know, random. We constantly had parties.
What were they like drinking and?
Oh yeah, it was like people drink at the office. I don't know. I'm just saying this. Whatever. Right. It's fine. No, people drank at the office all the time. Not like during the day, but like there were always parties. People would go back to the office like after the end of the day and like hang out there until like 2 a.m. Like we'd go to the bar and then go back to the office.
Yeah.
Like it was a particular moment in time.
Listen, WeWork's whole pitch when WeWork exploded was we have a beer on tap.
Yeah.
Like that was the thing.
Yeah.
It's truly that line probably helped them explode to this. So people like to drink at work.
Yeah, I mean, we had a drink cart. We had a drink cart that would come around.
Oh.
Wow, that's fancy.
Drink cart, you wouldn't last there a week.
That's fancy. Nice.
We had yeah.
And like, was there a drink maker? Were they like, do you want a mojito? You want a margarita?
No, I mean, the drink cart was like, I want to say it was like a Friday thing. Like they would have someone push around the drink cart and be like, do you want like it was one of many silly amenities. Like people would come in. The thing also is that like PR people wanted to be seen in the office all the time. Mm-hmm. So like people would just drop in to the office.
Yeah.
Like one time Richard Simmons just showed up, and I think it was like one of the last times he was seen in public.
Wait, has he not been seen?
No.
Yeah, there's a whole he like is a recluse.
Oh.
And it was like very I don't know how sharp it was, but yeah, there was someone did a whole podcast of like, is he okay? And he's like released a statement like, please leave me alone.
Oh, I didn't know
It
that.
sounds like he's depressed.
I don't know. I mean, I know one day he showed up to the offices unannounced and no one was expecting him and he was just there.
Was he like in his outfit?
No, he was just. I have a picture of myself with him during that time. Where like I think
showed up.
He showed up. He took like, and everyone wanted to take pictures of him, and he wanted to get like a specific. He had a bespoke pose for every person who took a picture with him. So for some people, it was like, let's do a prom photo. I think for me, we're like holding hands like this, like we're mid twirl or something. It's like it was very.
That's
odd
why him
day.
disappearing is so weird because he had bespoke poses for all his photo shoots.
Yeah.
I'm really struggling after shows. I take pictures with people sometimes, and I'm like, I got 3 faces, and I do them every time, and I can't think of anything new.
That's fine.
It's just
Yeah, you don't want to. Also, you want to like, you don't want to not smile.
sometimes I do.
I mean,
For downside, for people who like the podcast, I always want to do like a let's look unhappy, and they're like,
Really?
oh, let's do a happy one now.
yeah,
Like okay, well that's
yeah.
not
Then you're
bad.
doing more.
Richard Simmons came in. Did he go? Can we do a video? Like I don't understand. He just wanted to.
He just wanted to be in the office. Like this happened one day. I mean, celebs would come in because they were doing like content, and like sometimes we would get like one day Paul Rudd showed up to the office, which was like Paul Rudd showed up to the office to do a quiz, and we were all very excited because it was a small office, and he was given a laptop to take this quiz. And meanwhile, we're all talking about Paul Rudd on Slack and being like, Paul Rudd's here and he's so hot. He's great. And look at his hair and whatever. And he sees a notification, clicks into the Slack, reads all our Slack messages.
What, like, they would say, like, oh, I'm going to sit on that face.
I mean,
Like,
I don't remember, but it was definitely like,
Come on, if you're talking about Paul Rudd on the Slack, someone's saying that eventually.
yeah, I mean, he came out and it was just like, I thought you guys were all really quiet. And we were like, you got us.
He literally came into the office to take a BuzzFeed quiz. What was the quiz?
I don't even remember. It was so long ago. I mean,
Did you ever make those quizzes?
yeah. I was a writer on the site for, I want to say like full time 2 years. And then I got slowly sucked into video. Like,
Did you ever take a BuzzFeed quiz in your life?
I think so. Yeah, sure.
And what were like what
I have
Disney
no.
princess?
I think I probably took a bunch. I don't remember.
It was so deeply, it became such a cultural cornerstone.
Yeah.
I still know comedians with bits about a BuzzFeed quiz.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, quizzes were like such a, what a weird time. I mean, I made probably dozens on dozens of quizzes. I don't even know how many posts I made for BuzzFeed, probably in the hundreds. There are posts where sometimes I'm like, I don't even remember, like I wrote a whole thing. I don't remember writing any of this because it was just like, it's like a machine. Like the people who write for the website, it's like, it is a thankless job. It sucks. I'm kind of glad I didn't do it for that long because like I would have lost my mind.
Mm-hmm. So in this excitement period, did you feel good? Did you feel on top of the world?
Every day every day was like, I'm gonna get fired today, even though like almost no one got fired. It was like, you constantly were worried about, because like, I feel like I'm doing a behind the music right now. You have to imagine that when you were there, it was like, the numbers were so big because the numbers were huge. Yeah. It was like, they were massive numbers on the website.
Was it through Facebook that, like, was this where Facebook and BuzzFeed were working in tandem, or like?
Well, yes and no. Facebook and us, we were like us. I don't work there anymore. Facebook and BuzzFeed, they were like kind of frenemies. Where like BuzzFeed would kind of figure out the algorithm, and then it would be like, we figured it out, and then the algorithm would change, and it would be like, everything we know is wrong. We got to figure it out again. And like, when an algorithm would change, like a BuzzFeed competitor, like sometimes would die. And so,
sure.
Yeah.
So like, it would be that brutal. It was that important to understand Facebook. And of course, like we find out later that Facebook is juicing all this shit and like making up these numbers.
Or the whole college. I mean, we kind of like were moving more in comedy, like right as a lot of those things collapsed, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I had a general audition at College Humor, like right before the New York offices closed. Like it just felt like, man, I got it right too late. Where I went there, and I remember going to College Humor's offices, and it was like, so the first time I ever seen like a snack, like just a wall of different kinds of snacks.
And they're free. The snacks are free.
And they're free. And And then the next day, it was just the whole Facebook video inflation count.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Everyone had leaned into Facebook. Facebook said, actually, no one's really watching this. They all lost.
Yeah.
And so you felt you were in with that rise.
Mm-hmm.
Office is getting bigger, more famous.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have your own? Were you happy ever?
What a great question. I would say there were genuine moments where I was happy, and there were also many more genuine moments where I was like, I'm going to die today. I know it. I'm just going to have a heart attack in the office because I'm so stressed out. And I think that, overall, it's a net positive experience, but like the vibrating, because everyone was super competitive. You're super competitive with other things on the internet. And it's like, the thing is we were making stuff that was going viral all the time, which doesn't happen ever.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
And so like your expectation for what you're supposed to produce is ridiculously inflated. It has no relationship to reality. And so when you get a video that was like only like 1 million views, it was like, oh, which is banana pants.
Yeah.
And so, I got to do things at BuzzFeed that like I'll never get to do in my life. Like, I got to play with baby elephants in Kenya. Like,
that is very much my jam.
Yeah.
Now, would you want to do that?
Yeah, I love. Oh my god.
Someone recently, my opener Liam Nelson, he showed me pictures from the Bahamas. He went surfing with pigs, and I was like, that's my dream now.
Yeah.
That, dolphins,
Yeah.
baby elephants.
yeah, it's like they're like little. What if a puppy was a boulder?
Yeah.
And they're snuggly. They're into
Yeah,
it.
they're so cuddly, and they're also very dangerous. So
Yeah, like they're big. Even a baby elephant.
yeah, like
could.
if they're this high, but they're like rocks. They're like, and they're like playful little rocks that are just like, what's up? Like, my mom's dead, but I love you.
Oh, their moms are dead.
Yeah,
They're orphans.
Yeah, they're orphans.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought they were just visiting.
No, you can
a
just
play
go
date?
and take them from their parents.
No,
you know?
we weren't going out into the wild and finding wild. No, these are at an orphanage.
Did they say anything? Like, do they say like, don't go behind it, don't go under it?
Well, so
Give
we
it a high
got
five.
to do like a private interaction with the elephants. So like when they were coming out to get like their milk bottles in the morning,
Oh my god!
like
that's my dream.
they came running down the hill, all of these little
God.
babies. And like we basically like they're like, don't touch their trunks. But like I think also don't touch their ears, but you can pet their backs.
The biggest appendages on a fucking elephant.
I know, but they don't like it. They get,
Sure.
but they were they're curious. They're funny. They chew on you for no reason. Like they're affectionate. Like they're just like,
Could you feel their intelligence? Like they're because they're these animals that like have funerals. I mean, they're
yeah, because like they're just as interested in you as you are in them.
I see.
Because they're just like, what's your whole deal? Like, and then like after a while they're like, no, I'll find someone else. Like that, you're boring. Like they want stimulation as much as you do. So like, you know, it's incredible. It's like, and I'll never ever be able to do that outside the context of BuzzFeed. So like, I got moments like, but also on that same trip, like, I almost had like a nervous breakdown. So like,
Sure.
high highs, low
Yeah,
lows.
But is this like, was this self-inflicted, or like if you saw a video under 1 million views or 1 million views, you said, oh fuck, and did someone talk to you? Did someone say, hey, only 3 million views on the elephant video, you should have touched the trunk, pissed it off,
Yeah.
made a bit?
I mean, I don't think one failure wasn't a big deal. It was like a chain of failures that became a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you weren't someone who was capable of creating viral content, it was very difficult to be successful or happy at BuzzFeed, which is, creating. There are people who go their whole lives without being able to create viral content. Having to do it
Sitting with two of them.
It's really hard. It's like, I mean, you can.
I know.
Yeah, like
I know.
I mean, I live and breathe the principles of how to create content that like emotionally connects with people.
Let me we have to pause. I know you can't hear it. The construction around us is comical. It is like a power drill.
It's getting closer.
And it's right next to Russell.
To me.
But yeah, but yeah, you felt it. I mean, like you would feel the pressure of like perform, and then also like, if ever you asked for a raise, it'd be like, well,
I know, and then think you're like at the time you're like, no, I know you got the money right now.
I mean,
like,
people have viewed the videos that I have been in and made literally billions of times.
Yeah.
Billions. But like that whole time I was there, I was like, I'm about like you were made to feel like any day.
And it was all new in the sense that there wasn't like price points necessarily to compare it to.
Yeah, no.
You couldn't know for sure. Like they could claim, well, you got those views because we're BuzzFeed's brand.
Yes.
And you don't even confidently know, if I leave BuzzFeed, do I carry any of this stuff with me? Can I launch my own channel? I'm sure that beginning part is very scary.
Oh, and don't worry. They definitely made us feel like if we left, our lives would be over.
How so? Like, did they sit you down and say...
Like, I mean, I think at one point I was trying to negotiate. Like, at one point I had to sign a contract. And like, at one point I signed a contract that had no numbers in it. None. Zero. And like, the caveat was like, just trust us. It'll be fine. And like I think in the beginning where I was like, hey, it's weird that I'm being asked to sign a contract with no numbers in it. They were like, well, if you think you can leave and do better elsewhere, you're free to go. Like, so there was always kind of an undercurrent of like,
it's like you should have had agents representing you within the company, but it was like, I mean, you could compare it. It's the same way where MGM had their stable
it was the studio
of stars.
System.
Yeah,
it's exactly what.
System.
And the thing is like if you look at like Zay Frank interviews from like really early video, he talks about being like, I want to recreate the studio system, and everyone was like, that seems fine. Like,
sure. But in a way, it's very successful. Like you see, I think we go through waves of. I mean, we're clearly in such a deep independent wave, but it'll come back. It's all cyclical.
Yeah, I mean, I hope not. It's like it's not a fun system to be a part of because you do kind of feel like a piece of furniture that's kind of being moved around in like different areas and like it's like super dependent on like the It took me a long time to realize that the reason why my content did well is because of me and not because of Daddy Jonah Peretti.
Sure, I think as someone outside of the system, there is a part of me where I go like, you got to be, and I'm not saying like, well, you should be grateful. I'm just saying like, oh, I'm sometimes jealous of like, wow, what a great launching pad. My YouTube had 3 subscribers for a long time.
It is a great launching pad. The thing is like, I paid for it with, all the mental illnesses that I acquired during that time. So like, I think that I am grateful. I mean, I don't know. I didn't realize this was the gratefulness podcast.
No. We're gonna. No. You're right.
Grateful. Say you're grateful for BuzzFeed.
No. Okay. So let's go to the turn.
We're big BuzzFeed boys.
You're growing. Okay. Drink carts. Russell Simmons. Peter Simmons.
Richard Simmons.
Richard Simmons.
Russell Simmons.
Russell Simmons.
Everything's great. Blowing up. You're stressed, but you're getting seen.
Yeah.
Where's the turn?
And is it immediate, do you feel, or is it like things like, we're not going to have the drink cart on Friday? Like they start taking away little things.
Hey, the vodka's empty. Well, we're not going to do vodka anymore.
The I should have seen it in retrospect turn or the commonly
retrospect first.
Retrospect first.
The retrospect turn was when they asked us to make our own channel for our show. When they were like, yeah, you're gonna launch a channel of the show. It's gonna be great, and you're gonna be expected to maintain this channel, and we are gonna support you with resources to do that. I should have looked at that and been like, no, that's not gonna.
Why did they do that? They just needed you to take on more responsibilities because they couldn't cover it.
So new channels do better. And so when you launch a new channel, especially if you're launching a new channel with, I guess, older IP, like the known things, it's going to be prioritized by YouTube and it's going to do better. So like they were incentivized to start new channels with familiar talent. Starting and maintaining a YouTube channel sucks. It's super hard. You know this.
Oh, I know it's just
yeah, it's super hard. It's
Russell has no clue. Russell has no idea.
Super hard. It's a full-time job. It's a every week of the year job. So like that probably, you know, I think, and they
Just to be
want
clear, one full-time job, not like the kind of one that you just did at the beginning of the show, one where like you have to be like actively
Yeah,
participating.
you tell me about full-time jobs. I currently have 3 full-time fucking jobs.
You call
tell
this
me.
a full-time job?
Okay, I have
You call this a full-time job?
no. I have 2 full-time jobs and this very part-time job. Thank you.
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't even know what I was talking about. Yeah, I think that's when I should have known. I think this is bad.
Yeah.
But I was just so in it that I was like, I gotta just get to the next day. The commonly accepted, the party is over, is there was like a massive layoff in January 2019 that was handled horribly. It got leaked to the media by like not a board member, but it got leaked to the media by somebody super high up. I have my theories as to who it is, but like, I don't know.
So you had been with the company how long at this point?
2019, so about 5 years and change.
5 years and change.
Yeah.
And so how big was this layoff? What percentage? How many?
It was big. It was big. I don't know.
Were you laid off?
Percentage wise, was I laid off?
You were, yeah.
No.
I quit of my own volition.
Okay.
We would not have anyone
No.
who was laid off as a guest.
Oh.
That's been a rule from day one.
I mean,
You know what? I feel like from the outside we hear about big
Yeah.
layoffs all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm so curious. Like we hear like you go to your email and you're just locked out. Your key card doesn't work. What was this like?
it was. Here's the thing. I should say about this layoff, I did not lose my job in it. So for me, it was not like the experience it was for people who were laid off. So like,
Yeah.
I'm talking about it from the perspective of someone who stayed afterwards, not from like the perspective of losing my job. So I did not lose my job because I don't want people to be like, well, you thought the layoff was bad, but you kept your job. It's ridiculous.
Sure.
Yeah.
But like basically the layoffs got announced before they had decided who was going to be laid off.
Oh my God.
Oh my! You got one more quiz to post.
yeah.
This quiz better fucking
Better be
nail
good.
it. Which Harry Potter house are you, please?
So basically a bunch of people got into a room and just like, you know how when you're moving and like you think you've packed everything, but it turns out there's like 9 boxes of stuff still left and you're just throwing stuff out and throwing stuff in boxes and
Yeah.
it's like, what, I'll just buy it. That's what it was like, where it was just like, I don't know, like this person, I guess we'll keep this. So like it was chaos. Like our boss was fired and then our boss's boss quit. So then we were managed by our boss's boss's boss, who hated us. So then it was like there were people who got fired who got brought back for I think more money than they were making before. It was nonsense.
Were they doing it via email? Were they bringing people in? People were crying in the hallway.
They were bringing like a bunch of people into Zoom meetings and being like, "You're all fired."
Oh
like,
my God!
I don't know if this. So I don't know if this was the layoff. It might have been a different one, but there was one layoff where it was for a Zoom meeting, and the password was "Spring is here," and then, and then when the meeting started, he laid everyone off. Yes.
Spring is here. Bye.
That is
That was the password to get in.
That was the
Bye.
password.
BYE.
BYE.
Goodbye.
Spring is here. You guys
Terrible.
got a big vacation.
Oh my God.
Just nightmare. Yeah.
One
and-
time I had layoffs at work, and it was funny that I told my coworkers, I said, the way it was like, hey, can everyone come in tomorrow for specific meetings, and we're gonna have specific meeting times with each person. And I was like, sounds like there's gonna be layoffs, and they were all like, no. And I was like, really? It's just the way we're all meeting individually. Like, I don't think we're getting bonuses. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I don't think it's like, it's not the time of year where we do negotiation. And everyone got fired except me. And I told them, and I was like, I think and they were.
And you were the only one not laid off. Mm-hmm. Did you go in the meeting and they said, hey, so, like, did they tell you we've been letting a lot of people go today?
They told me I was first, and they said, we're keeping you. Here's what's happening. But we're gonna fire everyone else. It was a small office. It was like there was like 3 or 4 other people that they were firing. But I went out then knowing that they're all getting fired.
You saw their faces.
Yeah, I mean, I went back to work and
Did you just go out and were like, spring's here?
No, but I was very conscious of like not coming out and being like I wanted to avoid, because I was like, everyone's about to have their meeting, so I didn't want to like give away like. You know, I didn't want to like, either way. You know, I didn't want to be like.
How could you
I
go,
wanna
you
come
go
out
like
and
this?
be
You go
like-
like this.
Oh my God. But this one guy, he came out, I'll never forget. He came out and he sat down across from me after he got fired. And he goes, haven't had a drink in 7 years. Gonna go get one. And I was like, I'm gonna be like, no. He's doing great now.
Okay.
He's doing great now. He's a different job. He like lives. I don't know drinking wise if he's doing great, but he seems to be doing great. He got a different job right after that. But I was like so like, oh God, I don't want to like. It was like very
brutal.
stressful, you know.
Yeah, it was.
He should have said, what would have stopped me from getting that drink? If you had warned me, Russell. If you had warned me before I went in there.
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, it was just handled bad. The thing about BuzzFeed that I will say is that they were incredibly good at hiring very talented people and incredibly bad at treating them well.
Yeah.
And so the day of this layoff, it was just like people were crying. It was like, and actually, I remember the day of the layoff. I want to say like either a famous figure skater was there to do an interview. And I forgot who it was. It was like an Olympian who was like in the lobby, and he was just like, "What is going on?" Like everyone was crying, drinking, and he's just there to do it.
Oh my God! Imagine you have to work that day too. Like you're like,
Yeah.
imagine some people doing that. It's like, it's crazy.
When people were laid off, did they like lose access immediately? Like, are they kicked out?
Oh yeah, I mean it was just like it was immediate. It was rough. It was bad. And again, I still had a job, so like, this not from the perspective of someone who lost their job, but it after that, the people who remained, it was just like, well, we've seen what you've done to everyone who doesn't work here anymore.
Yeah, how long after that were you there?
A year.
Did any of the people who left, did any of them, were they go public and go make their YouTube video, make their post about BuzzFeed sucks, fuck this place?
Probably. I mean, it's everyone. I feel like the making your why I love BuzzFeed video is sort of like a time honored tradition for no other reason than like it juices your subscriber numbers.
Of course.
Yeah. So
I watched yours, and I watched someone else before you who worked on Ladylike. I just watched 2 Why I Left BuzzFeed videos.
I'm trying to think who else made one, but yeah, everyone makes one because it's like a one. Also, the other reason why it's good to make one, and I say this ever having talked about BuzzFeed for an hour, is that like it's a way to kind of be like, this is the last thing I'm saying about this. Can I move on with my life?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I imagine BuzzFeed contracts at that point after that were like, if you get laid off, you can't make this video.
No, I don't. Maybe they did. I don't know. I didn't sign anything. I never signed any sort of like non-disparagement. I mean, here's the thing. I disparaged BuzzFeed while I worked there. Like I talk shit about the company while like on Twitter all the time. Like
really?
Well, yeah. I mean, what were they gonna do?
Apparently, lay off a third of the company.
But like I was, I think every time that like Jonah would get into it with somebody online, everyone would be like, Jonah would lose. So it's like, there's no benefit to him fighting back with like random disgruntled employees. So.
Yeah.
And so you left, what was this, 2002?
I left January 2020.
2020.
Oh.
Wow.
Yes.
Interesting time.
Yes.
And has it just been for that company just downhill from there? Just less and less and less?
Yeah, just like less and less and
Well,
less.
what do they do now?
Here's the thing, I don't know. There's so few people I know who work there anymore. I don't even know who is still there. I know that they downsized their office again. It's just, the thing is, I think I know a couple people who are there, and it's like, it's hard because like you never want to quit your job if you don't have like a source of income.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I don't keep up. It's like a boyfriend that like I left in the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's just the internet. Just those companies lost all their power. I mean,
They did.
and I wonder if there will ever be a thing of that again, or whether we have moved on to these. I don't know. It's just you were in the thick of this huge internet creation and dissolution, and it was so powerful, and it all went away. Mm-hmm. And you just wonder what the next thing is, or if it all just becomes incredibly individual. And is it just more and more of us having our Patreons and our YouTube ads? And
so content is like, I mean, the formats of content obviously move in phases, like this.
Yeah.
But like kind of the fundamentals of the things that people share and people make do not change at all. People are making the same things now they made 10 years ago. They're just making it on TikTok. Like it's the same formats, the same principles. Like, and so it's if you know how to make content that connects with people, you will always know how to do it. It's just a matter of having the technical skills to do it somewhere else. So
And just adapting to algorithm I mean, like, I've had to figure out Facebook's doing this now. Okay, Facebook's kind of dead. I still post shit on Snapchat.
What?
And Snapchat is having like a revival of they're doing some new program where you can make some money there, and it's just like, okay.
I mean, TikTok is kind of like
You use Snapchat, but for like other things.
You're like, don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
I've actually never used Snapchat.
I can barely. I mean, as someone helps with these posts, but like Snapchat, like I still don't understand how it works.
I don't.
Snapchat was the first app where I was like, did you make this hard to operate on purpose to like keep like I was too old to even know how it worked?
Well, yeah. I mean, you didn't grow up with it. Like Snapchat was like basically like a messaging app for teens, like 10, 15 years after you were a teenager. So like there's no reason for you to know about Snapchat. It's like,
I was there for MySpace. I was very young. I barely knew how to use MySpace, but Facebook.
Yeah.
I was there. I was there when I had to use my high school email address to make the account because it was like affiliated through school systems. You couldn't just make an account willy-nilly.
You had to be attached to a college.
Yeah. And I did it in high school.
Originally, college, and then I think they must have expanded to high school.
I still have pokes.
I remember Facebook.
You remember? Let's explain Facebook to you.
There are listeners to this show
That will not know.
Who will like where there was like the thing of the poke, and it was like, what is this?
Oh, the
and it was like,
poke! Oh my God, the poke!
gosh.
you poked, for
And
the
it would be
sake
the
of
weirdest
it.
people poking you every so often.
I usually poke people. I feel like it was a flirty
I
thing.
bet you were a big poker.
Big poker.
Big
Poking
poker.
was like basically like,
assault, sexual assault.
I mean, now it is.
For poking, its only function was Russell J. Daniels poked you. Poke them back?
Oh, I thought its only function was to like indicate that you wanted to fuck someone that you weren't able to like.
I didn't think that. I thought it was like just being like, hey, that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Sure.
That's
I mean,
what I thought.
it could be flirty. It could be like...
Look, all men were just like, we were just going, hey. No, I'm
That's
sure
what
there
Russell
were,
said in
there
court.
were
I just thought it was a
definitely, I
hey.
think there were definitely men who were like, I'm poking, but.
Sure. But the other thing is like you couldn't like poke. You have to wait for a poke back before you poked again. So you
That's
couldn't like
so
poke
true.
harass anyone.
No, it
No.
was a mutual poking, but I feel like it usually devolved into like we should actually interact.
And Facebook, this was back when you had to identify who you were.
Yes.
You couldn't, which my like, this is not my theory, but I'm like, I do believe wouldn't the internet be a better place if we all had to say who we are?
But people like show their asses even though they say who they are. Like we thought actually that like showing your face and like your name would cause you to behave better, and we know it doesn't.
Yeah.
People say ridiculous things under their names and faces all the time. Like people just don't
Yeah.
care. Like
I go through waves. Sometimes I'm really strong and I see a comment that's mean and I go, that's fine. And then other times I'm like, I'm going to say something back.
do comments bother you still?
The kind of comments that bother me,
Say it so everyone knows.
it's like it just depends. Like this is the studio's newly set up, and we talked about it before.
Oh,
where like
the
someone
couch
was like
being too small?
the couch being too small, and I was like, fuck you, how fucking dare you?
Yeah.
I don't mind any about like my looks or appearance if they say not funny, hacky.
Oh, I hate
knew where that joke was going. That makes me mad. Someone recently, we posted like talking about Ricky Gervais. We were talking shit, but some people being like, "Oh wow, three whatever losers commenting on a guy who's successful. What do you know?" And that made me mad.
Yeah, I can see. I mean,
Yeah.
The only things that make me mad are not funny. Not funny drives me wild.
Not funny's a tough one.
Drive me wild. And when people call me like a fake native, that makes me
Oh my God.
like see flames. Those I actually sometimes respond to.
And what do you say?
Usually it's somebody outside community who like doesn't understand. And so I'll be like, listen, my family knows who I am. That's all that really matters.
And when they get that comment, do they like it and go, "That was a very nice, well put"?
No, Never. No. Here's the thing: responding to comments about people who like want to deny like who you are as a person, it devolves into it scratches an itch that only gets itchier. There's no point in doing it. But like,
I agree.
Stop.
Yeah.
So sure, let's talk about that. So
Okay.
do you have a native heritage?
I'm a native person. Yeah.
You're a native person.
Yeah.
And did you know this from your whole life?
Yes, I have known this my whole life. I did not have the technology did not exist for me to have like proof or have like connections to my culture or anything like that, or like know who like my family members were. But like, yeah, I've known like my whole life. I just didn't have like, I had no information about it. Like it's only in like the last, honestly, like decade that's even really been possible for people like me to know. But yeah, like I've known like my whole life. Like
When you were a kid, like I'm like fake Italian, like barely Italian. But
your name's
when I
very
was
I'm also fake Italian.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But my father, I said recently there's some symbol. It's like a face with 3 legs around it. Looks too close to a swastika for comfort.
The crest of the Isle of Man.
Yes. And my father, when I was a kid, was like, "This is our family crest."
That's not even an Italian crest.
Exactly.
And every night we pray to Christopher Columbus
Truly.
over spaghetti.
He was like, "This is our family sauce, ragu," and you're like, "This is not." And he told me you're 100% Italian.
100?
At an age where I go, my Jewish mother is part of this. It has to be. And he told me you have family in Sicily, and we listen. I think we do.
Sure.
But it's like when I then went to Italy after college, and I went to Sicily, and I said to my dad, like, "Hey, I'd love
to get in contact with a
put this in
Sicilian."
touch," and he was like, "I can't find them. Where are they?" And I was like, "We talked about this my whole childhood." When you were a kid, was being native? Am I using the term correctly? Being native?
Yeah.
Was that a part of like your childhood, like your identity as a kid?
Honestly, not really. Because, for a couple reasons. One, my mom, and I've talked about this like on our channel, but my mom was stolen. And so my mom was disconnected from her family for all my childhood. So my mom just kind of was like a person, and I just didn't know anyone else related to her biologically.
And what age was she?
6.
And when you say stolen, what do you mean?
The police came to her house in the middle of the night, and so like there's a long tradition in this country, we'll say, of stealing Native children and giving them to white people. And my mom was one of those children. And like police came in the middle of the night and took them and gave them to a white person.
What pretext did they claim? Like, what do they say?
Usually in this particular case, the pretext is the kids are being mistreated or they're being neglected, which like is sometimes the case, but like it's, instead of giving them to like other Native people, it was just, let's just assimilate them.
Wow.
Yeah.
At 6. Where was her family?
So now, they kind of got her siblings got separated. So like I'm actually writing a book about this.
Yeah, I was in Arizona, and I went to I got food like that was part of a reservation, and the guy was explaining to me like just the politics and of reservations and like how they relate, it was just like, oh my God, it's this whole world of government that I've never known about at all, and the relationship of it all. And he was also talking about the casino element and how the casino, they had this casino and it funded this part and this, it was, and they shared, these 2 reservations shared a casino and they shared the same, and it was just wild.
Yeah.
It was so intricate. I had no idea.
Yeah. It's a whole, Native nations are autonomous nations. Like they have nation to nation relationships with the United States of America. So like, like the Haudenosaunee, which I'm Gayuko no Unduwaga. So like that, which in English is Cayuga and Seneca, which you would know them as the Iroquois.
Okay.
But the Iroquois is a slur, actually.
I told you to stop saying that.
No, but that's what I remember you learn about. That's what they would label it, name it in school growing up. Was that
the fact that I just said that word Is that okay? Like when you say, or is that bad?
It's fine. It's not a big deal. I mean, I say it's if you hear a word for a native person that is obviously French or Spanish, you should probably interrogate like who came up with that word.
It is Iroquois, of course.
Don't say. Adding a French.
I made it worse.
I don't know.
That might be more offensive to the French.
I know. Oh my God. I'm so nervous.
No, it's fine. I mean, it's when I say slur, I mean like it means like snake. Like it's based on like I think an Anishinaabe word for like which were like the enemies of like the Haudenosaunee. So like it was like basically like through the misinterpretation of colonialization, like Iroquois became like the word for the Haudenosaunee, which is the 6 nations of which 2 of my nations are a part of, which I know is very complicated. You're going to remember all of this, and there will be a quiz. So.
I mean, yeah. I know not to say that word anymore. But just to educate me, I don't need. Do I need to bleep it out?
No.
Okay.
No, it's fine. It's you don't need to bleep it out. They still so a lot of like
I did a podcast once. There was a guy. He said, "Say this Italian word," and I did, and he said, "That's the Italian version of the N word." I was like, "What the fuck?
My
dude?
God.
We gotta cut this out."
To you.
It was a comic. He was fucking with me, and it was like it wasn't the
God.
exact. But I was like, "What the fuck, dude?" No. Now people tell me, I'm like, I'm not saying that word. What does that mean?
Oh my God.
We cut it out. It was like I had to sit with him and be like, we're cutting it out in front of me now.
No, I mean you should instead of Iroquois, you should say Haudenosaunee, which I know is longer and has more syllables.
Okay. Haudenosaunee. Haudenosaunee.
Yes.
Haudenosaunee.
Yes.
Your turn.
Haudenosaunee.
Great.
Wow, got it in one.
Perfect.
Nailed it.
Okay. So your mom was then stolen, but then adopted. How do you view her parents? Do you view them as
her adopted parents?
Yeah.
Her adopted parents.
It's complicated.
Complicated, right?
It's complicated.
Yeah. Sure. Because they adopted her at 6.
She was. I want to say so. Then I think it was made legal when she was 9, but I think she was taken when she was 6. Basically, like she was kind of selected from like a bunch of like her siblings. Basically, like her adopted parents picked her as like the child that they were gonna have because she was quieter, and so they thought she would. Yeah. It's bananas.
It's bananas too, because you're like, that's not long ago.
No,
Like,
this was the 60s.
Yeah.
And the thing, it's complicated because my mom loved her adopted father, loved him, had a complicated relationship with her adopted mother, but loved her adopted father. And I never knew him. And my adopted grandmother died when I was 13. So like, these people are kind of like, I don't have like the same emotional relationship to them that my mom does.
Definitely.
So to me, it's kind of easy for me to flatten them out and be like thieves. But for her, it's like, for her, like they're like the people who saved me from a sad life. Yeah.
Right. Well, if she's 6, you're like, you don't have that many memories from before then. So you're like, most of her life memories.
Yeah. So like, it's a complicated thing. And like, when I was a kid, like my dad's mom gave me like this like Madame Alexander Tiger Lily doll, and was just like, this is you, right? And like, and like she had like a kind of a weird fascination. Like she kind of would ask my mom about it a lot, and it kind of bothered my mom. Obviously because it was like very so like I knew about it. It was one of those things where like I didn't have the ability to research or learn or find these people because like the technology didn't exist.
Was your mom interested in her heritage, or was she like, the past is the past?
I think both.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I think that she is very much like moving forward, not looking back.
Yeah.
Back there's pain. Forward is better, good meals and fun times. So like, I think that, for me, it's like I think we have different ideas about like what healing is and like what that looks like. And obviously like we had different childhoods. So
when did you become interested in like learning more or investigating it?
I think it was like an itch in my brain that I could never quite satisfy. And I think like I kind of reached a point where we did a video where I took a DNA test, and I was just like, you know what? we're just gonna do this, and then I can find, it's for once and for all. We're gonna put it to bed. Like, maybe this is a lie. Maybe this is actually something my mom just made up, and then it wasn't. And then I was like, okay, I have to figure this out. Like, I have.
Do you have any fear? Because I've never taken a DNA. I mean, there's other fears about DNA.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Sure.
But if I found out that I was 4% Italian, 3% Italian, I go like, man, that is really small. Did you have any fear of, I'm going to lose something that feels like it's part of my identity? Or did you, or like what your threshold was? Like, if I just imagine you had fears.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, was it that it was going to be like 0?
My fear was that it was going to, honestly, I was afraid of what actually happened. I was afraid that, because for a long time, I think my mom was like, we're Native. And I was like, sure, Mom, that's fine. Even though, like, my mom is obviously not white. So it's like, that took like a Titanic level of denial on my part.
Sure.
But I think I was just kind of like afraid that I'd wasted so much time on something that I could have been exploring. Mm-hmm. And that, because like, if it wasn't real, then I hadn't wasted any time. And obviously I wasn't talking about it publicly. So it wasn't like, I didn't have to worry about having staked my reputation on it. But it was just, I think I was worried that, I would be this person who just had spent so much of their life not knowing about who they are or where they came from. And that ended up being what happened. It's the joke that my wife and I tell is that, like, so the movie Frozen 2.
I know it. I haven't seen it.
Okay, so Frozen 2 is quite literally a Native reconnection story. Like that's like the text.
Sure.
Where basically Elsa is just like, so I think I'm actually connected to something that exists beyond me. And then she finds out that she's like an indigenous person who like lives in whatever fictional indigenous people live there or whatever.
Sure.
And I think it was like that, where it was like, I knew something was wrong. And if it turned out that nothing was wrong, I could just move on with my life. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it turned out something was wrong. So now I have to go figure out what that is. And now I have to figure out all these pieces, all these painful pieces, meet all these people, like learn all these things about myself. And like, that's a lot more work.
Yeah.
Than just, living my life as if I had before.
Yeah.
And so when people comment stuff like, "Oh, you're faking it," that it's upsetting because they're denying who you are.
Yeah. Cause it's just like, listen, I've earned this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have suffered a lot to get here. Like, this isn't just like a fun hobby for me, or like a fun, like my part-time job. It's part of my life, and like it's part of the process by which I heal myself and try to understand and preserve the important things about me that for a long time I've just sort of buried. And so when some random piece of shit is just like, sure, I don't know anything about you, but I'm going to ruin your fucking day, I'm just like, well, what if I ruined it back? And then we just kind of like go in circles for a while until I lose interest.
Was this, I feel like the Elizabeth Warren of it all was the thing where people really focused on, people suddenly were like, people are faking this, or I don't even know with Elizabeth Warren, but I imagine when that happened, it must have stirred up, like that's what these people commenters are saying.
Yeah, I mean, like that's like the third rail of Native discourse is like, who it's who gets to hunt for people who are faking it and not, and like who's in charge of that process and who isn't.
Yeah.
And like there are people who are kind of famous who've made their name of finding these pretendians. And like
pretendians, that is a brutal name.
Pretendians.
That's a brutal
There's also
name.
another word, there's descendians, which is people who are descendants, but not descendants enough where they should claim.
Oh.
And what is that a number?
Is there a percentage or a no?
So that's so now we're getting into blood quantum, which is like another thing.
Yeah.
Blood quantum is like it's every Native person, well, not every Native person, because like some are disconnected and they aren't, but the government actually issues certificates to Native people declaring them a certain amount of Native blood. It's called a CDIB. It's a certified degree of Indian blood. which is wild that they do
Sure.
that for human people. And
you use that piece of paper to do what?
you use that piece of paper to access certain benefits.
Okay.
So like in the state of Michigan, for example, if you are a quarter, you can get your college paid for.
Quarters high. So what's that? Is that number fluctuate per state?
Well, not all states allow that. Like that's just a random benefit. That's just one thing I know. Like I don't know like the whole list.
You don't know. You don't know the rules.
I don't have the menu of like options.
The way you know the age of consent in every state is different.
I don't know that. But yeah, like my cousins, for example, like they have CDIBs, but I don't. Because like my mom was more disconnected, and so like because my mom doesn't have one, so I don't have one. But like basically some people say that once you get below a certain threshold of Indian blood, you should not be able to claim that you are Native. But like that is colonialist and silly and nonsense, and like it's something that most Native people do not agree to. Because like there's a Native comedian, Sienna East, who has a joke that's like Native people are the only people where the more sex we have, the less of us we make. Because like they're, the idea is that like, well, like if I had children, it'd be like, well, they're nothing. They might as well just be white.
Sure. I see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's
so
true.
so in your mind, is it that you have to be more inclusive at the risk of someone might exploit it? Like what ultimately with Elizabeth Warren, what was the conclusion?
She's not Native. She's
okay.
like
So let me ask this. I'm glad we established that because I didn't know. Because I didn't know if like again, I didn't look into it deeply. No. But I think my fear is that I was going to be like, well, is she? And you'd be like, well, she says she is, so fuck you. Like, of course, I'm a big everyone. Okay.
This isn't a test. Like, you're not gonna get.
No, but I mean, I don't know. But so tell me, in your view, why? Why?
Okay, so this is the other third rail of Native discourse. This is like
it sounds like a lot of third rails. It sounds very tricky.
It's oops, all third rails. Okay, so this is. I'm gonna say this is like to the Native people listening to this. I am not the reconnecting decider. Okay, I'm not the person who decides. This is just me talking. In my belief, the Native people are people who are connected and claimed by their communities with a big asterisk that some people don't get to be connected and claimed by their communities because they're stolen or because of racism, or because of like other reasons. Like, so, because we can't just say like people who are claimed by their communities, because like there are lots of black natives who like aren't claimed by their communities or have been disenrolled. Mm-hmm. And like, genocide is obviously very complicated. And it's, I think it like being Native, it's sort of like it's the porno rule, right? Like you kind of know it when you see it. It's like, people who are reconnecting generally are repairing something that happened within living-ish memory. Not always. Yeah. But most of the time. So like, for example, like you might be repairing a connection because like you were stolen or your parent was stolen or like your grandparent was sent to boarding school or some combination of those things. Yeah. And so like Elizabeth Warren isn't Native because like, it's like she's not connected to the community. It's like a tiny little percentage from like a billion, trillion, gazillion years ago. Mm-hmm. Like it's not, Native is sort of, it's like a verb a little bit. Like you kind of have to like be an active participant in it. It can't just be something you like throw out into the world.
In your mind, had she lived differently, could she have?
No, because like she didn't have it. It's like, it's not, it's with reconnecting Native, like reconnecting Natives in a lot of instances are like missing family members. Like, their family, it's not like her connection was far. Oh my God, this is how I lose my whole career. So it's like
I think most people are.
Basically, it is super complicated. You know it when you see it. Elizabeth Warren is not Native because, like, it's not like she lives in, like, a Native community or, like, she was removed from a Native community forcefully or she was, like, or her close relatives were sent to boarding school or removed from their families. Like it's there are lots of like contingencies for like who can be Native just in case something happens, and like she doesn't fit any of those.
Sure. It just must be complicated because the same person, getting really excited about Elizabeth Warren, you're a liar, you're not Native, might also coincide with the same people going to you and going like, well, you're not Native either. Like those, like it's like when that all happened, was it enraging? Was it just like, because I liked Elizabeth Warren at the time before I became like a full on leftist and whatnot, but it was one of those tough ones where you're like, fuck, I wish I hadn't done that.
Yeah, she shouldn't have done that. I mean, it's like, here, it's tough. And the reason why I'm trying to speak so carefully is because like, it's difficult, but I think I was at the time, I was less in, how can I put this? I was not as far along on this journey at that point. When that happened, I wasn't so far on the journey that I really understood kind of like how bad it was. Like at the time, I kind of looked at her situation and I was like, oh, you know what? They're going to say the same thing to me, even though like completely different situation.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so I think like when that happened, I kind of got scared. Like I kind of got like a little worried, like, oh, they're, I'm fake too. You're right. I am also a fake person. And honestly, it wasn't until Native people started coming to me and being like, so are you going to reconnect? Are you gonna like do that I even thought it was an option. I even thought like I was gonna be acceptable. And that really, I benefit greatly from the fact that like I am already a public person, and people will come to me and be like, I will help you with something, as opposed to like other people who may not have like access to
Of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Oh my god. Yeah, it's who is Native and who is not Native is like welcome to the question of our time.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That'd be a rough game show. And you're one of the
the
competitors.
I don't want to host.
You're one of the.
I don't want to host. I don't want to host, please.
That's so how do you connect with it now? It's got to be one of I have a joke on stage about there's like the founding of St. Louis, there's a museum, and it truly is like first there were Native Americans and then there weren't, and it's like, whoa, this museum just totally
yada yada.
Yeah.
You just watch, and there's some like moving like map of like all the Native American communities that just get smaller, and then and they don't, America, my feeling is, why are you teaching history unless you're ready to teach history? There's no point in teaching kids like a cute version of history and then educating them later, because not everyone gets the update. And then suddenly they think Pocahontas has like a hint of truth, like Disney's Pocahontas.
Yeah.
And how do you think it should be taught to children? Given, because you grew up in an American education system, you had the same education we had. Do you think that you bring kids and you tell them right out the gate? Do you think like, we're going to talk about the founding of America later when we're ready to talk about this for real?
No, we should talk about it out the gate. Like I think like when I was a kid, people used to say to me like, my last name is Chirico, and people would say to me like, oh, that's like Cherokee because you're Native, right? And it's like, no, it's
That's how it works.
It's Italian.
Just sounds like it. Yeah.
That's how it works. And the thing is like that also happens to me now, but people after that will be like, oh, I think that might have been racist, the thing I just said.
Crazy. I mean, it really is being like, your name is Russell Daniels. You're Danish, right? Daniels, Danish.
I know a white girl named
crazy,
India.
Crazy logic.
Yes. Exactly right. I think it would have made things easier because another thing I'm writing about is like, I have a bit about the fact that like in the late 1700s, George Washington ordered the murder of my people, which is, a tough place to start a bit from anyway.
Yeah.
But it's like the guy on the money is like, fucking enemy number one. I think things would be easier for a lot of people if we just were honest out of the gate and we didn't like have to deprogram everyone later,
It's so fascinating. We talk about this a lot. It's so fascinating how like precious or like how protective people are over weird historical figures that you don't know and are not related to. And because we're always like, we've always said on this podcast, if they said tomorrow, we're changing the American flag, it's going to be this now, I'd be like, okay, I don't care at all. If you told me we're taking down every single statue in America, I'd be like, don't care at all.
But
if you told me that I had to like, in order to get my paycheck every week, I had to say George Washington sucks, I would do that. I don't care at all about any of these people.
But I think there also is like, if America ever enters a war, Russell and I are sneaking out. We are finding those Kabad tunnels, and we are sneaking out. And there's a degree where, like, as I try to see the full perspective, I go,
yeah, that's true.
The reason that they feel this need to like make superheroes essentially out of the founding fathers is because the government goes, we need a mass body of people willing to die. And religion used to be that thing. We used to have everyone be like, oh, you'll be willing to die for this religious cause to keep this government and keep the social order. And there's a loose thing with America where they're like, well, we need you to respect George Washington and the fable of democracy because one day us rich people will need to sacrifice you poorer people to maintain our lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that's why they're so determined to keep those statues up.
Do you know what the word for George Washington is in the Seneca language?
No.
What?
It's town destroyer.
Oh my God.
Brutal.
It makes sense.
Brutal.
Doesn't surprise me.
He was really good at it. And you know, actually, why he got that nickname is because his great-grandfather was also town destroyer. And when he came back, they were like, oh, you're the descendant of that other guy who also did the town destroying. Like, I just let's call you the same name because you're functionally the same thing to us.
Yeah.
I would call George Washington Town Destroyer for the rest of my life. Every statue of it renamed Town Destroyer.
If Mount Rushmore collapsed right now, I'd say that's probably good.
Well, no, because Mount Rushmore is actually
Wrong!
Sorry.
Failed ally! Failed ally!
Every time I talk to someone who isn't native, I feel like I'm like the cop. I'm just like, actually, everything you know.
Actually, the natives built that and they love it. And it's their favorite statue ever.
It's actually a sacred spot, and it was defaced when it was made into Mount Rushmore. Yeah, like
okay. So yeah, I meant like just have it be a mountain still. Or,
you might change it to faces of.
And they didn't clean up the rubble, so all the rubble
down.
that they chiseled off is still at the bottom. So are you saying they should just glue all the rubble back up?
That's what I was saying. Glue all the rubble back, make it look like a nice, pretty mountain again. Take away those faces. It's weird that we have a mountain face thing.
Because if anyone defaced, if someone wrote on the nose Town Destroyer, it'd be fucking everything. And God forbid, everyone have to pretend to care about this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it is, and again, I don't have kids, so I don't have to worry about this stuff really, but critical race theory became like the fucking talking point forever. And it's you just see how these people cling on to this myth that they need to hold on to. And that wasn't even for things about Native Americans. Like that was even, people aren't even ready to recognize those crimes or talk about them or how to talk about anything.
People will comment to me on Twitter sometimes. They'll be like, well, you guys lost. So, so what are you mad about? Sometimes people lose wars, and this is what happened. So it's like, yeah, the denial is like, it's very deep.
So what would you do? What's your history class? You get to. So okay. When did they teach us? Kindergarten.
They teach
first grade,
history
second grade
throughout. You didn't want just 1 year of history. What?
But second grade is where I felt like second grade is where really like in kindergarten they weren't talking.
You're right. Second grade is we start introducing. The concept.
Second grade, we burst in there. We tie up the teacher.
Why are we doing that?
Yeah, let's do a felony.
Teacher was bad.
We're gonna do this all in one day. It's not a curriculum.
It's 1 day. It's 1 day, and you get.
It's not gonna work. This whole program.
What is this fucking like a Clockwork Orange school that we're putting together?
I don't know if it's like we're gonna have a better school. It involves holding the hostage teacher and like saying, "This is what's really going on, kids." And then we had to teach for how long?
This is a terrible heist.
I don't want this job.
You get one. You get to like it's Zoom.
One.
Everyone's on Zoom. We get to hack the Zoom. We get 1 second to talk to children directly.
1 second.
One class.
Well, let's say boobs.
Just so that Janet Jackson
my
really fucked those kids up. Oh man. It doesn't feel like we're moving in the right direction
No.
in the last couple of years. Doesn't feel like I felt like the world was getting more at least America was getting more progressive, and it just feels like those conservatives, they grabbed those reins and they got it back.
No,
It felt like we turned the lights on in like a New York City apartment, and you're like, oh my god, there's like lots going, like something happened where we can see a lot more of what was underneath the surface or something that we weren't seeing maybe as much.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Something.
Yeah,
happened.
but like y'all aren't allowed to give up is the thing.
No.
Like
No.
that's.
I see kids.
I feel like every time I talk, Russell is just like, "How have I failed?
give up.
How have I failed you this time?"
No.
I can tell that you're married because every time I talk to you, you're just like, "Oh no."
You're right.
We'll keep fighting. We'll keep fighting. We're gonna blow up.
That's
Mount
why
Rushmore.
we started this podcast.
You're gonna glue the pieces back on Mount Rushmore. Don't blow it up.
Yeah, no, we can't blow it
Make
up.
it worse, Gianmarco.
Wait, I have a dumb question. Where is that?
South Dakota.
Interesting. Why did they pick that spot?
That's where the mountain was.
But there's many mountains.
Do you know, like, why is the Grand Canyon in Nevada?
Well, it's not. It's in Arizona.
I knew that from my story earlier.
Yeah. It's in multiple places, isn't it?
No, it's just in Arizona.
Listen,
It's not a chain.
I've never been. I thought it was over many states.
No, it's not that big.
Well, I remember in Vegas Vacation, they go to it in the movie, and they're Vegas Vacation.
Close.
Okay. All right. Well, history.
Let's go on to our next segment.
This has got to stop.
This has got to stop. Russell.
Yeah. Okay. So white people when they do
Good.
when they do like the white, any sort of white emoji, like hand, thumbs up, I think we have to pick yellow. Like we have to pick the neutral one. Do you know what I mean?
So even a person of color, you're saying they can.
No,
they
I
have
think
to pick.
for some reason it makes me uncomfortable when a white person picks.
Goes out of their way.
Goes out of their way to be like, I'm white, picking a white thumbs up or something. I don't know why it makes me uncomfortable. I'm just telling you.
Why are you uncomfortable with race?
I'm uncomfortable with a white person saying I'm white. I think there's like a pride in it or something.
Man.
There's something in it.
Sometimes you say something, you're like, yeah, the conservatives, like, they're gonna go like, you see, he won't even say that he's white.
See, but there is something where I'm like, I just a yellow neutral, the neutral one, you know. Also, because I know one person.
You're saying it's white.
I know one person that does the white thing, but they're white. But they use like a slightly darker shade of the thumbs up, and I want to say to them, you have to use the white one.
That's real. If
You know what I mean?
You got to use the color that you are. You can't
use the like slightly darker one because you think you're Italian or something. Like you have to.
Wait, but white comes in shades.
No, if you're white,
does.
you have to use the furthest whitest one in the thumbs.
That is a strong position to take.
Okay, let me look at this. I'm going to tell you.
I want to see
If
like
I
what.
started sending you a text that looked like this, let me see it. Let me pull it up. Yeah, let me see how many colors actually. It's been so long. I don't generally use them at all, but like the hand clappies, for instance. Okay. So if I use this one, Gianmarco, or this one, that's crazy.
That second one.
That second one,
If you're a little bit Italian, is okay.
I don't know, man.
No, I don't know either.
person-
I'm with Russell on this one.
I think you got to use that.
What are you using?
I use the yellow one because I'm lazy.
See,
Sure.
That's the other thing too. The yellow one, I'm just saying it's the regular one that's there. I think that it's like I guess once you've sought it out, it's in your things and you can reuse it. But I feel like it's strange. Anyways, I'm thinking of a very specific person. It's not a lot of things. It's you know.
I think I went through a phase, and this is a long time ago, where I was like, I'll use the black one just because I don't see color. I don't know. What? I just did it. No, that was a joke. But I'm just saying I did it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
But you did use the black one?
Just like for thumbs up.
Gianmarco, no.
No, but that's why. It was simply because it was weird.
No. Yellow. Use the yellow one.
I think that those first two one could be tan. Sometimes when I come back from the beach, I would go, it's time to use the second one.
But what's the best case scenario, though? You use the black one. What's the best case scenario for you? Someone's like,
oh, you know what? What's the reaction that you want?
What are you hoping for there?
It's just, it doesn't matter. A black thumbs up is equal to a white thumbs up. Equality. When are emojis necessarily us?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like it's more about the feeling of like got it, and I don't need you to be like got it, and I'm white. You know what I mean? Like I
get that.
I'm just saying you just need the gesture.
But that's where my thinking was. I was going got it, and I'm not even
black?
recognizing a race. It's just a
but
hand.
you selected a different one.
But it's the inverse of what you said.
I don't know.
You're saying you can't say you're white. Don't say you're black. It's very confusing.
Confusing. I just used the yellow one because it's the first one on the option.
I think ultimately that's what I do too, and that's why maybe it's just my bias. I like the yellow one, and it just is. It's we're all on the same page. I don't know. There's sometimes I get a text. I was like, I guess you are white. You know what I mean?
You should write that back.
Yeah, I got you're white. You know, we get it. You're white.
When someone sends you like a picture of their child, are you like, we get it, white baby?
White baby, gross.
This has got to stop. Whenever there's something going on in the world, as there always is, to some degree, I feel like people struggle with like, well, my social media, do I need... Someone recently, and it was like a model or something, comes back and goes like, social media is complicated, but I think I'm going to keep posting again because I know that my social media inspires people and moves people. And there's a degree where it's like, yes, but it's also your business. Like, we get it. I think we understand more and more. Sometimes your social media, it's you being your activist or trying to do something or raising money. But then sometimes you have to continue with your career. And in the same way, we don't go up to a deli and go, why are you still selling food today? You should be making your chef should be out front making a statement. I think we're beginning to understand. We're beginning to understand.
Really
should be spelling I'm sorry in deli meat.
Yeah.
Exactly, though.
We're all waiting to hear where you stand on this.
And I'd rather than the post of like, I know things are bad. I've decided my content of me in a bikini is inspirational to people. That's disingenuous to me, and it's like asking to be absolved of the complex nature of you are a person living in America choosing to continue living your life while being expressing your like, don't lie to me. Don't lie to me and saying these pictures are now that I reflected on it, and posting my most viral tweets is important. And so it's important I get back to that work.
You got to keep working.
You got to keep working. And
people respect that too. Like if you just say like, hey, listen, this brand deal was scheduled before. I got to just post it. People get it. Like, the fourth wall has been broken on that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just like that more than just like, I just can't stand I need to get back to this because it's important. I need to get back to it because this is my job and this is what I chose. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry if it's weird. But don't say it's meaningful. If I release a podcast, I was like, I know people September 11th too happened today. Yeah. But like, you got to hear our thoughts on Janet Jackson. I know it will really cheer some people up that are depressed.
Yeah.
To hear that riff. Do you ever this gotta stop?
I do have it. This is gonna stop. I hate it when people make chicken pot pies that are not pies. Like, I hate all chicken pot pie recipes where it's just the crust on top. It's a chicken pot pie. It's not a soup with a hat. It's a full fucking commit to the pie. Don't say it's a fucking, I don't want a soup with a hat. I want a pie.
Yeah.
I want a bottom. Give me the bottom
Maybe
and the top.
Problem is we don't have a term for a soup with a hat, which we should. Feels easy enough.
We
have every kind of pastry
People are
in the
making
world.
it all the
Yeah.
time. People are all making those soup hats all the time.
No, it's
So there should be a term
it's
for
a
it.
scam because I think there's going to be a full pie there, and I crack it open. It's just a soup with a
just- there's
fucking
no-
hat.
it's-
It should be
Sides.
called a scam
Scam.
because it's like you know where the coyote runs into the fake tunnel. It's like, oh, it's a pie,
Yeah.
Yeah.
no bottom.
No bottom, no sides. It's just soup. with
Yeah.
a hat.
I hear that. I hear that. I don't have a lot of chicken pot pies, but I'm always intrigued. Because pies are too sweet for me. It's too much. I like the crust more.
Chicken pot pie is
Chicken
too
pie is
sweet.
too
No.
sweet
I'm
for
saying
your-
like pies.
Okay.
I'm saying like pies. So I like a savory pie.
Got it.
And there's not a lot of. I don't see savory pies just willy nilly out in the wild. And I would like more savory pies.
I mean, I love chicken pot pies.
Yeah.
Like, and I eat a lot of them, which I feel like goes without saying. But like, I just feel like you got to commit to the craft
Yeah.
of the pie if you want to make the pie. Like, don't.
Is there a store, a restaurant, a chain where you're like, oh, you got to get where you're going to get your chicken pot
Costco
pies?
makes incredible chicken pot pies.
Really?
Oh.
Costco makes a fantastic. I've been eating it since I was a kid.
Wow.
But it only in certain seasons. So like we're in the season of chicken pot pies right now.
Chicken pot pie season?
Yeah, it's pot pie season.
Winter. You're not going to have it in July.
You're not having a 4th of July chicken pot pie.
Why? Why
Oh my
not?
God, I'm so mad. You're so dumb about food sometimes. Because you don't like food and you don't know it.
Do you not like food?
You're not,
love food.
You're not intuitive.
What do you mean I don't like
You're,
food?
oh, you just don't know it because you're like depriving yourself.
Explain
Listen,
to me why chicken pot pie not in
It's a hearty meal that you eat when you're cold. Okay, you eat it. It's warming up the house. There's snowing outside. You're not gonna go and the height of summer, 95 degrees. You're gonna eat a chicken pot pie. You're gonna sit outside in a chicken pot pie.
Like no one eats hot things in summer. Like all you eat is ice cream in summer. You eat a hot dog in summer. That's hot.
No, you
It's hearty hot dog.
No, it's a chicken pot pie. Like a chicken pot pie is basically the food version of a mother's love. You need that less in the summer than I think the winter.
Yeah. Also, a hot dog is to go. You're moving. You're outside at a barbecue. You're doing things. Chicken pot pie, you gotta sit down with a thing. Like you're sitting and you're inside in a sweater.
You
What?
might be like a little mouse who lives in like a log.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm understanding.
Okay.
I didn't know you didn't like food though. That's fun for
No,
you.
I like food. I eat a lot of food. I enjoy food.
He likes carrots.
My
remember-
dog likes carrots.
You remember the Larry David debate? There was a Curb
Yeah,
Enthusiasm
I
versus
too.
Larry David, and what's the
He
guy's
said
name?
he likes food more.
He said I like food more because I savor
I
it.
savor it. And then and Jeff argued that he's fat, so he likes food more.
He's like, well, you fucking eat anything.
Yeah,
And Larry
yeah.
goes, I'm specific.
yeah, but you tell me you don't know when chicken pot pie season is. It tells me you don't know nothing about food.
You look like someone who wouldn't know when chicken pot pie season is.
Let's go to our final segment.
You better count your blessings.
You better count your blessing. Russell, do you have a blessing? I'm looking for one. Oh,
Yeah, you know what? I'm really grateful for, and it's always something going on, but it's been like sometimes I remember it, and I'm like, I'm really thankful for this. I never hear from my neighbors across the hall. Never hear from them, and when I see them, they're lovely. But I never hear them. I never run into them. But then when I do, it's nice. And the people below me, they only come to New York 2 or 3 times a year, so I never see them either. So I'm never worried. And something about me is, I like music. I like things. So I'm never having to worry about my sound kind of output. And that's a nice thing because I've gone, sometimes I've gone other places and been like, oh, it's too loud or blah, 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 or we can hear you. And it's like, oh, I never have to worry in my home base about that. And not like I'm throwing raves at 4 a.m., but you know what I mean? Like just
you're a
like,
loud comer.
yeah. That's mainly what I'm concerned about. Yeah, but the people below me and the across the hall, it's like never a thing. So it's been. I'm very thankful for that because I forget it, and then it's like, oh, I do. There's a safety in that, and also because sometimes you go to someone else's house and they're very concerned about like, oh, and it's nice to like not have that concern.
I think about when I was a musical theater kid, and I'm like, and I wasn't a full realized adult, and realized how my actions had impacts, like the people who had to live next to me.
Oh yeah, and I'm warming up some days
phase of my life, and I'm like, those they should have been mad. Like they were fair.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
You doing scales? You doing
not scales? No. If I'm warming up, I'm just singing whatever I would be singing in the show.
Full voice lessons.
Oh no. It's usually in the shower.
My blessing, I was in Tampa a little while ago, but my opener, Liam Nelson, he's been open to me for a while, and I feel like we have gone into a really good rhythm of like, I sometimes get very lonely on these weekends. I mean, it's a brutal life, but we have become closer. And I'm like, I want to do activities. Like, let's figure out an activity. I'll pay for it. I'll cover it. And then we'll go do something that feels like an experience. And I feel like we're now kind of on the same page. And like we both like, it wasn't that big, but we did smoke cigars. And I never smoked cigars. And he taught me how to smoke a cigar. And it was a lot of fun. We went to a really great cigar bar. And I think I like cigars now. I wrote you right after. I said, we got to get cigars. You like cigars?
I don't. I like a cigarette when I'm drunk.
Well, let me tell you, this cigar that I got there, it was like he took me to like the mild section.
Yeah.
And it was the tip was dipped in sugar cane. So like it was like a little candy. Yeah. Every time you put in your mouth, it was like a little sweet treat.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get us some.
I like the aesthetic and like the idea of sitting around smoking a cigar, but I never enjoy it when I'm doing it.
Looking at the sweet one, it's called Sugar Lips.
Okay.
It's called Sugar Lips, and we're going to get it. So that's my blessing. Liam Nelson, great opener.
Sugar Lips.
Great comic. Do you have a blessing?
I do have a blessing. I am, you know what? I'm going to shout out my little stand-up girl group. I'm in like a little group. I'm in a group in LA with like a bunch of female stand-ups who are like a very diverse, wonderful group of girls. And they are so funny and so fun and so encouraging. And I feel like I wouldn't have taken the leap because I think for a long time I was just like, I don't want to deal with men. And like this sort of like took that away from like remove that as an excuse for me.
Sure.
And yeah, and like it like changed my life. It changed the trajectory of my life and my career, and I am really appreciative to them. So I'm just shouting them out.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys do show? You just like meet up to write, or you do shows together?
we have like a class we do like once a week, and then we all go to each other's shows.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's really cute.
Mm-hmm. It's nice to go to other people's shows.
Yeah, I've gone to so many shows.
It's tough to have performer friends, man. There's just
I love going to people's shows.
We've known each other a long time.
How often do you want me to go? I see you multiple times a quarter.
That's not true. Multiple times a quarter?
I'd
say you see me do stand-up once to 2 times a year.
No.
Tell me the last 3 times you see me do stand-up.
So I could go at the Cellar.
Uh-huh.
And I saw you,
exactly.
No, but I can't remember, but I know that I've seen you. I see the big, I wanted to go to your taping, but I wasn't.
My dad sees me more than you see.
No. No. I see you at all the big things. All right, I'll come more.
Russell has 3 full-time jobs.
3 full-time jobs.
True.
I went to the Cellar. I've gone to the Cellar a couple of times, and you performed. I didn't watch it, but I was there in the restaurant while you were performing.
You went to the Cellar, but didn't see Gianmarco perform.
Well, I was with Tova. We had one time.
I think it's just one of those things that, like you do some, but you have certain friends where you're like, man, they haven't seen me in 4 years.
That is a lot.
Yeah,
I see you a couple times a year.
Yeah,
you see me a couple times a year.
I've seen you more than you've seen me.
No,
I'm keeping count.
What, you saw me 3 times?
We got to end this. Gutenberg.
Okay.
Titanic twice.
Okay. I didn't make you come that second time.
It's not about make. It's not about make. It's about want. It's about need.
Okay, so you have 3. You have 3.
Need.
And I have 2.
When can you? I'm gonna see you again
When? Why?
at the thing. The thing that you're gonna announce eventually.
I told you not to.
I'm going to, and you're gonna go no, but you're gonna feel good, and you're gonna feel some.
Okay, well, I'll see you before that. We'll be even.
Okay. I was pulling up when this comes out.
I'm going to go to like 6 shows in 1 week and just get it all out of the way.
For the rest of your life. We're done for the rest of your life.
We're done until 2026.
Just binge watching Gianmarco.
This is coming out January 23rd. What would you like to plug?
What would I like to plug? You know what? Just follow me on Instagram. It's Kristin Chirico. Come see my shows. I live in LA. I perform in LA. Eventually I will not do that. But for now, come say hi to me. Whenever someone comes to a show and knows me from the internet, I always say hi, take a picture. Like, people are afraid to come up to me. Don't be afraid. I'm not scary. It's going to be fine. So, yeah.
Hell yeah. Russell.
You have 5 days left to go see Gutenberg and say hi. I'll have some other announcements coming up soon, but
we announced Uncle Function yet?
Oh yeah, in March. No, it's May.
May. Uncle Function's gonna.
We have a show. We have a show in March. You and I, The Downside.
Yes.
You've
Thank
announced
you.
that.
Yeah. So
also follow me on Instagram at Russell J. Daniels.
Everyone in Los Angeles, Russell is coming for his first and my first Downside Live
in Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles. This is on
March 14th.
What the fuck? Did they put it in wrong?
I swear it's the 14th.
March 14th, Hollywood Improv, 7:30 show. Tickets, we kept tickets. I think they're just $10 because you got to get the drinks.
Yeah.
But we're going to have a big guest. You get it. It's a small room. We want to sell it out. Hollywood Improv. What?
Who are we getting?
Oh, I have some. I'm going to.
Oh, I'm
going to ask Pete first.
Okay.
Pete Holmes.
Great.
We'll see.
Well,
I know you listen, Pete. Just text me back when you're done listening to this. It will be a very good. There's lots of people in LA that we don't see. That it'll be a good time. So go see that. This particular weekend, I closed it, but I believe I will be in. Here we go. Tacoma Comedy Club, probably sold out by this point, but then I will be in Spokane, not sold out for sure. And then I'll be Ontario Improv February 1st, Irvine Improv January 31st, Seattle, and then Punchline Sacramento February 8th through 10th. Check it out. Join the Patreon, patreon.com/downside. We got a bunch of live shows coming up in New York. We got that one in LA. We're trying to get some other ones coming up. So just tell your friends about the podcast. We are growing. We are thriving. And listen, you ever see Mount Rushmore? You fucking...
Get some glue.
Get some glue.
Get some glue.
Get to gluing.
Get to gluing.
Get to gluing. This is The Downside.
1, 2, 3. Downside.
You're listening to The Downside
The Downside.
with Gianmarco Soresi.
Tell him, Russell.
Subscribe to The Downside right now.
Where?
Down here. Or here. We don't know, but just do it.
Or also, what else could they do?
They could follow the Patreon. They could subscribe to the Patreon.
No!
Sorry.
Patreon.com/downside.
Pressure.